Hi Year 2, welcome to our second video of Term 6. Last week you will remember that we learnt all about the 4 sentence types and we focused on statements and commands. Well, this week we are going to be thinking about questions and exclamations. Okay, off we go. First of all, we're going to think about questions. So a question is when you are asking something and it always has an answer. And the punctuation that we always have at the end of a question is a question mark, which looks like this. Lots of questions start with one of these words. We might call these the question words. What, when, where, why, which, or how. You can recognise most of these because they begin with 2 letters, one sound oo, except this one, which starts with an H. But that's a good way to remember them. Not all questions start with these words. If I wanted to say, do you like cheese? Then that wouldn't start with one of these words. But most of the time, your question sentences would probably start with one of these words. So I am going to write a question about this page in the book. So I'm going to look at what's happening. So I wonder, what is Nadim looking for? So I start with a capital letter as always. What is Nadim is a name, so it needs a capital letter. Looking for. And I end it with a question mark to show that it's a question. And I know it's a question because I can answer it. He is looking for the magic key. Now it's your turn. Have a look at the 2 pictures here and think of a question that you might ask. It might start with one of the question words, what, why, when, how, or it might just start with another word, but make sure it is a question. Make sure it's something that can be answered. Okay, pause the video and have a go. Okay, welcome back. These are the sentences I have written. Yours will be completely different to mine, but there are some things you need to check. So my question sentences start with capital letters and they end with question marks. Then we need to check it's a question by checking that you can answer it. Why has the soldier got a ring? We can answer that. He might have the ring because he has found it on the floor. And who is the lady in the blue coat? Over here, I can answer that one. I can say she is the owner of the ring. Okay, so check your sentences. Are they questions? Can you answer them? Do they start with capital letters and do they end with question marks? If you've done that, well done. Give yourself a thumbs up. Okay, now we are moving on to exclamation sentences. And these are the most unusual of the 4 sentence types. We don't use these as often as we use statements or commands or questions, but they're very, very important. So what do we need to remember? An exclamation sentence always starts with what or how. Okay, it can't start with any other word at the beginning. It has an exclamation mark at the end. It must have a verb, but that's true for all sentences. If it doesn't have a verb, it's not a sentence, but it's very important to remember it in the exclamation sentence. And make sure it is not a question. So we've just thought about using what and how for question sentences. So when you're writing an exclamation sentence, you need to make sure it is not a question. It won't have an answer. So I'm going to have a look at this picture and think of an exclamation sentence that I can write. So Nadim and Chip look like they found lots of things under the cushion on the chair. So I'm going to say, what a lot of things they have found. What a lot of things they have found. So I know it's an exclamation sentence because it starts with what, ends with an exclamation mark, and it has a verb. Okay, they have found. Have found is the verb in this sentence. What a lot of things they have found. I'm going to write another exclamation sentence, and this time I am going to start with how. How sticky the key looks. There's the key, it's very sticky. How sticky the key looks. So I know it's an exclamation sentence because it starts with how, it ends in an exclamation mark, it's got a verb, looks, and I can't answer it. It's not a question. You have to be careful with exclamation sentences and don't just think about the exclamation mark. Just because a sentence has an exclamation mark, it does not mean it is an exclamation sentence. For example, here it says, "Stop that magpie," with an exclamation mark. But this sentence is a command. It's a bossy sentence. It's telling somebody what to do. It's telling someone to stop the magpie. So that is a command, even though it has an exclamation mark. We could write a statement that has an exclamation mark as well. We could say, the magpie stole the key, with an exclamation mark, because it is quite shocking. The magpie stole the key. Okay, now it's your turn to write an exclamation sentence. You can write it about things happening in this picture. So the magpie has stolen all of these things and they are in the magpie's nest. So maybe you could write an exclamation sentence starting with what? About all of these things. Off you go. Welcome back. Maybe you might have written, what a lot of things there are in the nest. That would start with what? We'd put an exclamation mark at the end, and are is the verb. What a lot of things there are in the nest. Okay, now have a go at an exclamation sentence that starts with how. Pause the video and have a go. Welcome back. Now check your sentence. Does it have how at the beginning? Does it end with an exclamation mark? Does it have a verb? And double check that it is not a question. You should not be able to answer it if it is an exclamation sentence. Well done if you've done all of that. Over the last 2 weeks, we have learnt all about the 4 sentence types that we need to know in Year 2. You can log on to SPaG.com on Thursday to show Miss Meikle and me all of the things you have learnt by doing the quiz. We can't wait to see.